Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome back to Voices for KERN. My name is Victor Lara, and here we have a few new guests. We have our co-host, Jovon Dangerfield, and we're going to be covering what divides us. So, we've been talking about this.
What's with the news voice?
I want to change
It's fire. No, it's fire. It's fire.
Maybe a little newscaster would watch this and be like, hey, bro, we should hire him.
That's official. I'm going to put a tie with this t-shirt.
Like little teleprompter right there.
Come on, Dan Rather.
I thought it was good. But
I did.
But all right, so we're going to be covering what divides us. We kind of already talked about this in the last episode, and we're just going to cover up all the other things that come into it because there's a lot. You know, we can talk about this for 5-6 days if we had enough time, but you guys would probably want to listen to it for 6 days, so we're going to cover it in 1 hour. So let's see what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to welcome our guest. I don't know if you're new.
Yeah, it's my first time here.
Oh, Rafa's first time, man. All right, so, we're going to want you guys to say your name. Why you joined Time for Change? And what is it that you like the most about Time for Change being here?
Hi, my name is Rafael. I joined Time for Change as a volunteer in 2023. I like it because they are really welcoming, and I was going through hard times, and they really give me a home, and I decided to continue coming, and I have learned a lot with them. What was the other question?
Oh, mijo.
I really appreciate all of you. Yeah. He's a really good friend, and also mi jefe también.
He's the one that pays me.
Verdad.
He has to say it now. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you pretty much answered it.
Answered it?
Yeah,
Okay, that's good.
Okay, hi, my name is Fatima. I joined Time for Change because Jovon actually went and he spoke at one of the conferences that I went to, and I really enjoyed the way that he spoke because I felt like it was very motivating, and it wasn't so much like lecturing. It was more like, okay, I'm trying to talk to you. So so at the end I asked him.
That's how you came to Time for Change?
Yeah, it was at the
Let's go.
It was at the KERN Summit. The KERN Summit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then at the end, I asked, hey, I want to be part of your mission, what you fight for. And he was like, oh, say less. And he told me about Time for Change. And then now being here, I don't feel like it's been really nice because I'm fairly new to Bakersfield. So definitely seeing people from all types of different schools and all types of different everyone has their own story, and hearing about all that, it's like the epitome of diversity. So that's why I stay here, because it also teaches me life skills. And I just feel like it's been a really enjoyable experience.
Where are you from?
I was born in Mexico. I lived in Arizona. I lived in LA, and then from LA I came here.
Oh, I'm sorry. LA is fire. Where
International.
Linwood.
Oh, okay. Wow, I didn't even know all that. See, I get to know you more and more.
That's
Awesome.
what this podcast is about.
Yeah.
We get to know each other, speak about things, places.
Facts. Let's get it popping. Let's jump right into it. Now, episode 1 was the things that divide us. This is episode part 2, the things that divide us. We're already built. If you didn't see the episode, go watch it, right? But the second episode is going to be about building it more into activism and Time for Change and how we go from where we started to where we are. So let's pick up on that. First things first, let's give you a definition of a new word. You guys ready? Okay. Tribalism. Okay? According to the Cambridge Dictionary, tribalism is a very strong feeling of loyalty to a group so that you support them no matter what they do. Tribalism. Now, there's healthier tribalism, like being a part of the Dangerfields, right? Or I call my dad and I'm like, I'm glad I'm a Dangerfield. You know what I'm saying? There's a sense of pride in that.
I thought that was a gang or something.
No, the Dangerfields, that's my real name. People always ask me, is that your real name? I'm like, yeah, it's my real name. But when you talk about the Dangerfields, that'd be a fire game. City Danger Fields, and that's it. Okay, and then you also have more dangerous tribalism, taking back to 2020, where it was everybody was fighting, and it got really bad. So what I'm going to ask you guys, first question right out the gate, is what happens when we give all of ourselves to the smaller group that we belong in as opposed to the larger group. And I'm going to tell you what I mean. Being a Republican or being an American. which one matters more to you? Being a black man or being a man, a human? Which one matters more to you? Being a Raiders fan? Because don't get it twisted. I know people that will fight over the Raiders. Or just liking football. I'm like, why? They keep losing. But, like, or just being a football fan. So why do you guys think it's so important to people to have that identity with something as opposed to seeing the greater thing that we're all a part of?
I feel like it definitely has to do with like a lack of security in the sense where people just try to like attach themselves to something, especially if they're not sure of who they are themselves. So when it comes to like when you're talking about like the football and everything, like okay, like everyone should just love football for like the love of it, like the thrill, you know, like playing in it, being a part of it, watching it, socializing and everything. But then people take it to and then obviously it's okay to, you know, have your favorite team, you know, be supporting them, but it's not okay when you start to like, you know, like talk bad about other people because it's like it's all football. Like okay, like you have your team, like we can be competitive, but then once you make it so personal, it's like why are you trying to attack someone when like everyone here all loves football, you know, if you're talking in that sense. And it also comes down to like races, like how you said, like I feel like when it comes to what divides us, it's not so much like it's not something as like physical as like, oh, your race, your skin color, the characteristics on your face. Like I think it's more like the mentality that you have, like, yeah, I may be Mexican, but I still see the same. I could still see myself and relate to somebody that's a different race as me because that's not what divides us. It's the ideologies of society that's like, oh, because you're this, you're different. Like, no, you're not. We're all together.
PhD.
PhD. You guys want to touch in on that in any way?
I feel like she kind of touched everything, but I feel like a lot of times, at least for myself, I'm more to like small group. You know, I have a favorite soccer team, and that's my soccer team. Like, you talk bad about them, like, it's on site, you know?
What team is it?
I like Chivas.
Oh,
Forget
yeah.
Chivas, homie. And that's how it starts.
No, so yeah,
Yeah.
meet you outside right now.
Exactly.
But so I'm more of like a small group type of person. I mean, it just depends on what it is as well. But I feel like a lot of people just kind of see, like, we try to find what we have in common. So small group, like, oh, you're a Chivas fan, I'm a Chivas fan. I'm like, let's talk about the sport, you know? Or because if you're like, oh, you're an American, I'm an American, like, good call.
Okay, but how does cool, yeah, that's dope. But how does that, something so beautiful, so innocent, so I had to do it too. How does that go from being something innocent to being something dangerous? Like, how do the Raiders fans go from kicking it together to wanting to jump a guy back in the Broncos? How do Chivas fans go from being Chivas fans to wanting to fight non-Chivas fans? Like, where does that happen in us as human beings, where it goes from being fun and playful to all of a sudden we're fighting?
A few drinks in.
It is. Alcohol often
honestly, it does.
It does.
Because at football games, that's, you know, they're drinking. Like you shared the story in the last episode about the guy that was in the urinal. He was getting jumped. I kid you not, the people that are probably jumping him had a few drinks in them.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like a lot of times, you know, substance abuse can contribute to that. Or just how people are, I guess. You know, there's more aggressive people than others. At least I think so. Like, there's some people that'll be, once they beat you up, they'll stop and be like, all right, bro, you had enough. Others, I ain't going to stop. You know, they're going to keep hitting you until you're done. So I feel like a person's character has to do a lot with it. Who the person's with. I mean, I'm not going to jump a non-Chivas fan if I'm by myself.
Right.
I got to have some of the homies with me.
Exactly. So strength in numbers.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it easier to get bolder around, like, increased numbers? Like, when people are more around you and they're pumping you up? What do you think?
Yeah, it's when there's more people there, you have more kind of you want to do more things because you have others that kind of like in that way they support you that's a bad way, but kind of you have others with you and you feel that part of that group, so you do it when there is more people. And I think that's kind of like we take it too serious when those things, and I think we don't think about that broader picture, like you said, like not just being a specific football fan, but a football fan. And I think when you see it in that way, you feel you kind of open that, like it is all of that kind of like bad, like rage and excitement. So you see the other more like as a fellow friend and not as the other.
That's exactly what I'm trying to get. That's what I was trying to get after. That's fire. What keeps it in perspective is like, sure, we take pride in our smaller groups, but the thing that keeps it all in perspective is remembering that no matter how much you are a part of this smaller group, you're always going to be a part of the larger one. You know what I'm saying? I'll always be a Dangerfield. I'll always be Black. But is that more important than what happens when I'm in this room with you? What you know about being Black? Not much.
No.
He was like, everything. And what do I know about being Mexican firsthand? Nothing. But when I take so much pride in being Black that you can't take pride in being Mexican around me, that's a bar, by the way. When I take so much pride in being Black that you can't take pride in being Mexican around me, I think that's when it's gone too far.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I know from personal experience, I know like my 7th grade, I went to like a widely like dominant like a middle school, right? And I noticed a sudden change because in elementary, like it didn't care, like, you know, like everyone was just cool with each other because everyone had like that innocent mindset. But then once you went into like middle school, like I remember 7th grade specifically, like I was still trying to get like English down, like my accent and all that stuff. And then I remember when I went over there, I would feel like weird or like ashamed, like if a word slipped out and I said it with like a Mexican accent, like tortilla. And then I would just feel so uncomfortable because everyone would be like, "Oh, like you're doing too much."
It's tortilla.
No, I'm being serious. Like, and then I remember like all of 7th grade, like I would like intentionally like try to like stop my accent, even if it was like something like "hola," like I would try to say like how they were saying it because I just didn't want to seem different. And I know it's like I'm looking like a little. But the thing is that, and then when I moved to LA and I moved to Lingua, it was like a lot of like Black, a lot of Mexican, and then being there, just like by feeling like that support too, it was like, okay, like I'm able to like speak how I actually speak and do all this and do all that, and I would feel that comfort. And then when I went to here in Bakersfield, yeah, there was like a lot of like everything there. But then at that point, once I learned in 8th grade, I didn't feel the need to change anymore. And I felt comfortable being myself and like embracing my Hispanic heritage, getting involved with the Hispanic clubs because I had to go through it first. I survived and I pulled myself up, and now I'm able to represent my Hispanic culture at my high school because I know how other people feel, and I want to be like, hey, like, you got this, like I'm here too, like I've been through it, like let's talk. And that's what Time for Change is for, you know? Everyone comes here, we support each other, we're like, hey, like I haven't been through that like firsthand, but I got you, like I understand.
Cool.
The force. You know what it is. Dang, you guys are on fire. Let's keep it going. I want to ask you, we finished this concept that we just talked about, basically how something innocent turns to something evil. Case in point, the Crips were started by Raymond, I forget his last name, at a certain time because they wanted to protect the neighborhood. The Crips were literally started because they wanted to protect the neighborhood from other people coming into it and from the police from beating people up. Somehow the Crips went from that to whatever the hell is going on right now. And it's like, you're just killing each other. So the most noble intentions when you start, if you lose those intentions, you also lose control of why you guys got together. And it happens in high school all the time. I'm always in high schools talking to people, and I always talk to these students that end up in accidental fights. It's like somebody told them, hey, such and such wants to fight you. And then they're like, no, I don't care about that. And then like by the end of the school day, there's like a group around him, and the guy that wants to fight him is right there, and he's like, what's up? And you don't even have a time to navigate your emotions or think or anything because the group power has drawn you into a fight, and now you have to fight because you can't get humiliated in front of the whole school. What do you guys think about that?
That's good.
Yeah, peer pressure, that would be that one. Yeah, I can see that because when I started going to school here, there was like all the students that were learning English, they cannot get into their whole group, and there were some that saying like there were some that they wanna like doing like the activities that we need to do for class. There were some that did it, and there were some who didn't do those activities, and I started to see how the kids who wanted to be kind of like more friends with the kids who didn't do like the activities. Because I also did it like 2 times. I remember my school teacher, because I always do my things with that day. I remember we were watching a movie and we were supposed to watch the movie and not do anything, just watch it. And I remember that I got with that group because I wanted to feel like with them. And I remember the teacher watching at me and saying like, and I still remember that. I was like, oh my god, I'm doing it because that's I got with them, and it's kind of like you wanna be with friends and kind of like you wanna be part of that group, and also it's like sometimes you are just like you're in that instance you're young, so you wanna. There's times that you don't wanna align with the things that kind of like the school wants you to do. Yeah. So it's kind of like you want to be like a little rebel. Yeah. But I can see how me and others try to don't do their things because they want to be part of that group. And also like after in lunch, that's when everyone got there and started like not following the rules that were supposed to be, like not acting in the best manner.
So is it safe to say for you guys that as we went back to episode 1, the stronger sense of confidence in your own identity makes you less likely to fall for group things when they're harmful?
Well, yeah, because going back to like the fight, you need to be careful because at the moment you're like, oh yeah, like they got my back, like they're the people that are gonna be standing behind me while I fight. But that's a slippery slope because they don't actually, their support isn't with good intentions. Like they just want to see a fight, they just want to be entertained. Exactly. So you need to keep that in mind, that you need to make sure that you need to love yourself enough to not just be blinded by like, oh, like she's got me, okay, let me go do it. Because no, like she wants you to embarrass yourself, have a good laugh, and then she's gonna dip. Who's gonna be the one picking you up? You need to be careful with that support that you get from school, especially in high school.
And then it's funny though, because once you lose a fight, it's like then they're gonna be making fun of you.
Yeah,
all that
they are gonna make fun of you.
You got beat up, bro. Like, all right, now I'm gonna fight you.
Have enough courage to get in the fight, and then you think you're a G for that, and you get beat up, and everybody's talking about you. You got beat up. It's a no-win situation.
And then the people from your side are gonna like creep to the other side, like acting like they weren't supporting you.
Yeah, that's true. Because after that, I remember my brother. He said like, "No, we gotta be good in school, do homework, and like do good, learn." And that's when I started leaning more into my brother, and that's when kind of like separated. And it's like with my brother, I have a good, like he's my friend. He wants to do good things for me, so I can see when you're more aware of what you really need.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really good. It's true. That support.
Last thing before we go to this break, the power of culture, American culture, all culture, family culture. Do you feel like you have what it takes now as a human being to stand against your family, your friends, whoever? Yes or no before we go to break. Do you have the courage to stand against whoever for what you truly believe in at this moment in life? Vulnerable moment.
I think I do.
I think I'm pushing myself to get there eventually.
Don't you?
I think I'm 80% there. Sometimes I get scared, but I think I have, after the past like for 6 months, I have learned to have confidence in myself and stand for the things I believe.
I'm with him, 80% most of the time.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to a quick break. We're gonna throw a commercial. We're gonna come back and take this thing all the way home for you. We went from the bottom to the top. Crazy combo. Time for change. Raf, Fatima.
You forgot my name.
Victor. I've been knowing you a long time.
Welcome back to our Voices for KERN episode. We're going to be talking about, what divides us. We've already been speaking about this from the last episode, and we're going to keep talking about it as, the show goes on. Hopefully we have another one since this topic is like, there's so much. There's just so much to talk about. We're talking about how larger groups and smaller groups, how they turn from being peaceful to violent, how we identify with a smaller group or a larger group. And we're going to keep talking about that right now. Yes, so, Jovon.
What's up, man? Let's get it back into it. I want to go right into it because obviously 20 minutes ain't doing us much justice. We get it popping. So we're on the next 20 minutes here. One of the modes of that whole contrast I talked about, innocent to deadly or genuine to problematic, would be this ideology of the this or that culture that we have right now as Americans and in the world. And it can be innocent at first, right? Drake or Kendrick, right? LeBron or Mike, right? Somebody here right now wants to fight. I can feel it. Like, I just said it. Somebody wants to say LeBron. He does. All fun and games. But questions. Why has it become so important to have this or that? And why is it something that even like pisses us off? Like, if you don't think mine is that, and it becomes harder. And is that type of thinking potentially dangerous when it gets into the hands of fanatics? So why do you think it's so important to have this or that in society now more than ever before? You can jump in.
I think it might be two things. One is because it has become so much part of your identity that if you feel it gets lost, you.
I can't even pass out. But I could have said that better. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, I think it becomes part of your identity. So if like you wanna keep that with you, and you will do anything to protect it. And
Yes. Like, whether they're like us or not, Kendrick, I don't care about you or Drake. I mean, I like you guys doing your music and stuff, but what you got to do with my life? Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And I was gonna say other thing, but I forgot about it. I pass it to one of you guys to finish it up.
I would say, especially now, like my generation, like the advancements in technology, where it's like everything is just changing so fast, like quite literally, like and I feel like it's hard because it's like a fight because maybe like 10 years from now, people that were like let's say our parents, right? They were just raised in such a different like atmosphere, and then when it comes to like us, it's completely different, especially with like the usage of technology. So I feel like with that like problem at the root, like from like the house, where it's like, oh, it's not this, it's that, like, oh no, I need to use a computer. No, you can just use a paper and pencil. You know what I mean? And I feel like that kind of just translates to everything else, where it's like, since everything around us is changing so quickly, especially with like in high school and like when you're trying to get to know yourself, you're just grasping for air at that point. You're like, oh, and once you find something, you're like, oh, this is mine, and you protect that, and like it's also like a sense of loyalty. But then some people, if you're too insecure about like your thing, then as soon as someone touches like the bracelet, like, oh, well, maybe like this is a little better, you get all on the defensive, and that's when it becomes a problem because no matter what they say, that's still yours. So there's really no need to get on that. There's no need to get on that different level of offensive because it just starts more problems and for no reason.
That's a good one. I feel like tribalism comes into this. It's like kind of like you said, that loyalty. Like, man, I've been listening to Drake my whole life. He's better. I don't care. Like,
fighting for Drake and he ain't about to do nothing for you, player.
He's still making his money. He don't care. He's gonna keep doing what he's doing. But I feel like a lot of people, at least for me, I feel like they just take this social media stuff too serious. This whole, honestly, they're like, oh, they're having beef. They're probably like shaking hands behind closed doors, like, man, we did it. We're number one.
No, he was calling them some pretty bad names.
It's like that Biggie and Tupac. Like,
yeah.
A lot of people say like,
true.
No, they never even had beef. When it comes to money, I'll beef with my mom.
Mom, that does not reflect time for change's views on this episode.
But some people, they take that, they take it too serious. And I just don't think, I don't really think like that. That's why I'm off social media and stuff like that, because the social media has a big influence to what you see or what you seem as cool. Like, I didn't hear about the Drake and all that conflict until like yesterday. Now I kid you not, I didn't hear I didn't listen to the song until like last week, and I was like, oh, like this is what everybody's been talking about. You gotta
old man.
You gotta stay to yourself.
It does. It's good. It's healthier for you. To be honest, if I wasn't in media and I didn't need to be up on stuff, I probably wouldn't be as up on stuff because it kind of can get a little draining. Yeah. It's like, I think I got me a story and somebody else is like, did you hear? I'm like, what happened 10 minutes ago? And they're like, what? And then you go in there and you find it and now this is the story. And we're just chasing everything, chasing the wind. Does anybody else want to elaborate on anything else before we go to the next one? Because you guys have so many great thoughts. You good? Okay, let's keep it going. We talked about group thinking and how it's evolved. We talked about this or that. We talked about the root causes, and we'll end with that. But let's go into some mainstream American culture, because we are time for change, and we're a bunch of semi-quasi activists doing our thing in the city, correct?
Yeah.
Faith and politics will start a fight anywhere. Faith is the one thing that's really not supposed to be being fought over. It's supposed to be about love, but somehow faith has become something to fight about. And politics. Why? What do you think? Why is this? Why must we fight about faith and politics in America?
Maybe almost like the sense of like, oh, I'm right and you're wrong. Like that ideology, it's like, okay, I feel like especially that like anywhere you go, people just make it about like, oh, I'm always right, and that's where like the close-mindedness comes. And I feel like for you to become open-minded, like it takes time, work, and you have to be intentional with it. Like even if you don't believe what they're believing, you can at least just listen and be like, okay, like you do you, agree to disagree, and we go like living our own lives.
Wow.
I mean, you starting an argument is not gonna change what they believe. It's just gonna disrupt the peace.
Have you ever fought somebody to the point where they were like, all right, I get it, I'll become a Muslim now because you like cussed me out enough? Like, no, it never happens. So I'm just wondering, and you guys can jump in on this too, why do we fight over the things that are supposed to bring us together?
Feels like not wanting to be wrong.
Pride.
Yeah, pride. Because you know, like when you speak about religion, it's like, okay, which one's right? You know, like are the Muslims right? You know, are the Christians right versus the Catholics? And like a lot of times, like for example, my girlfriend, like I grew up Christian. You know, my dad always took me to Christian church, and my girlfriend grew up Catholic. So sometimes we'll clash about it, and I'll be like, bro, like it's the same thing. Like
it's close.
Like I don't know if you've ever heard the I forgot this guy's name, but it was like why I hate religion but love God or something like that. Yeah. That one, like people gotta listen to that one because it's, you know, it's like you said, it's about peace, it's about loving each other. But sometimes we take it too serious, and you know, when you look back at history, religion's one of the main sources why some wars have started. Like
facts.
So I feel like it's that trying to have that power and say, nah, I'm right, you're wrong. And it's just something that us humans have. Like I still do it. Like sometimes I argue with my dad, like, nah, it ain't like that. My dad will be like, no, it is. I'm like, all right. Like that's not how you change a light bulb. Like
straight up. Even in the Christian church, where the Christian church has a lot of influence in America, but they're taking a lot of heat right now because they seem to have become so insular that they don't seem to extend the invitation out to other people to come in. And then secondly, it seems like sometimes the Christian church, people feel as if it goes like against, like the Christian church wants to clash against LGBTQ. Yeah. And almost they think they're fighting them. But even by the tenets of their own faith, they're supposed to be loving them and honoring them anyway. So I think, why is it so much so, and I'm a Christian person, I can share that openly, but what I'm saying is everybody, the way we're all represented in it, I don't feel that. Like I don't feel the need to go to somebody that has a different belief and tell them that their belief is wrong. I believe that if I lead with love, like me and that person can connect. Why don't we do that more?
Oh, that's a hard one. I mean, honestly, church I went to, my youth group, they're very welcoming. I had some people call me like a hypocrite because you know how I used to be. I used to be like in the streets, you know, doing this and that. But I told them one time, like, church isn't supposed to be to go look glamorous and, oh, I'm a good person and you're not. It's, you know, the place to heal and see something different. And honestly, going to church like that kept me out of a lot of trouble. Mm-hmm. So that's what I felt welcome, but it's kind of like you said, a lot of people don't. And going back to, they interpret things the way that they want to.
Yeah.
Like, you read the Bible and be like, nah, like, two people can read the Bible, same exact one, and one person's going to say it says this, and the other person's going to say it says that.
Right. So what we're doing right now is we just had a faith conversation and nobody swung on nobody.
Yeah.
It's possible. Bunch of weirdos. All right, anyway, let's move on. Fatima, Raf, what do you guys think about this? We have two figures right now. I'm going to say their names. Trump Keep a straight face. Biden. You know I'm not going to get into the politics because I want Time for Change to remain a place where anybody can come, Republican or Democrat, don't care. But my question to you about this episode is why is it so hard for people to support a candidate and just like not be able to admit their shortcomings? Like, why is it so hard for Biden supporters to admit that he is old as hell and moving a little slow? Why do you feel like if you admit that, you're betraying Biden? And why do Trump supporters feel like you can't tell me Trump ain't out of line sometimes? We're not even talking politics. Just the stuff he be saying. I could support him and like his politics and say I still don't like the way he conducts himself. Why is that so hard for us to do? That's a good question, though. I made that up last night on the toilet.
You have good ideas over there.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was a joke.
But why? Why do you guys think that? Why is it so hard to say, I like this candidate, but I'm seeing these shortcomings in this candidate?
I think it's because we cannot say that like we need to see them as perfect and not see like we don't have ourselves to really take the time to see that kind of like it's kind of like if I believe in that like that's perfect and no one is we don't kind of open our minds to see the other things, see the whole picture. It's kind of like saying that we don't take like I don't know how to explain it, but kind of like open your thinking more, not the think, but like kind of your understanding of the whole picture and not just only one thinking, and be able to understand that, to see like if there are things that are wrong and that are right, and be able to see the two things, not only that just are right. And also like it's because you take it to you, it's because you say like this is right, this is the right one, this is the right one. Kind of like if someone says that like no it's bad, but you because it's part of your identity, so you do everything to protect it and say that no that's not, there is nothing bad about it. Yeah.
Well, adding on to what Rafa said, I definitely feel like it's more like what you said, protecting your identity, because whether you're like a Republican or Democrat, like even like let's say like you're like Democratic, and you're like okay like the president that's like supposed to represent my side, like okay like he's the one, like he better win, like, and you're just seeing like okay like he's the green flag, but then with that like mentality of like not even like wanting to like express like not express, more like get to know everything else that goes around it, and like actually get to know the person, how he is and what he stands for, and you're just going like, oh, I'm gonna vote for him because he's Democratic, then you're just like missing all the red flags. You're like, that's not there, like you're just keeping your eye open on that. But if you were to actually, for us to create a better like society, it's not so much like, oh well, only these people can vote for this type of like president, or this would be for this people. I feel like it would be more like, okay, how about we actually forget about all that and just see how they are, what our country needs, who's able to provide that, and just skip all the labels. Like let's just get down to the people. And if we were to actually be able to like analyze how they are and actually see like what we need and vote for somebody like that, I feel like we would have skipped a whole bunch of these problems, because at this point it's just a sassy party. Like, okay, well, you know what, at this point, like, you said this, bye.
Exactly.
You know, but you have to remember that no one's perfect. So with those ideologies of like, oh, like, again, like, I'm right and you're wrong, we're not going to get anywhere, because at this point it's just pettiness.
I feel like
Bars.
A good one, too, is like kind of, I mean, it might sound bad, but like ignorance. You know, ignorance, like you said, you know, some people don't even do their research. Like, all right, well, what did this president do? Oh, I don't know. He's like, kind of like you said, he's Democratic. That's what he is. Like, all right, well, what did he do?
Right.
Like Trump, like, well, what did he do? Like,
Right.
no, this and that. So a lot of people just don't take the time to do their own research. A lot of times, like, that's what we learn. And like, that's what I want to say that I learned from college. If there's one thing that I learned, is doing my own research and not believing everything that, you know, the news is saying. Because a lot of times it's just one side. You know, this news station is going to support this one, and then this one's going to talk. Like, you see it right away. You see Fox, like, oh yeah. Trump, and then you see,
all day.
and then you see like other news stations are going to be Democratic. So a lot of times you got to do your own research. You got to conduct yourself, keep that open mind, because kind of like you said, I mean, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat. It's kind of like I said, just vote for the one that's best, you know. I mean, personally, I'm broke now. You know, things keep going up every few days. I'm like, again. So a lot of times though, people don't see that. Like we talked about this one time. I was like, if you really want to see change, you can't just vote for the president. You have to vote for the people in Congress. You know, see who's in there because that plays a lot to what you're doing. But honestly, ignorance is the biggest thing to me. Like you gotta keep that open mind and actually do your research.
Straight bars.
Know what you're talking about.
This content is crazy, you guys.
Thing that he said that had like light bulb was that when he was talking about like doing your own research, I feel like people are scared of that because they're scared to develop their own thoughts and go against what society thinks. So,
Yes.
No, and that also
Yes.
that is seen immensely in like TikTok and stuff like that because all they do is they just take little clips and put them together and like make one person the bad guy and then make edits about the other guy, you know, and that's honestly so bad because if you just go to social media as like your research, then you're just letting other people guide you exactly where they want to guide you. That's why it's so important to take a step forward, be proactive, do your own research so you can develop your own thoughts, and then like that actually contribute to society because then you're gonna pick what you actually think is true to you and what's good for you, rather than just be like, oh well, like my friend picked this one, so I'm gonna pick that one too.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Oh no, jump in.
AI is crazy now though because
AI
I saw a
crazy.
video where like I think it might have been like a political figure where he was talking, but then like I ended up like doing a little research and like they totally changed that video or like it wasn't even real. I was like, what the heck? Like this is crazy.
Yes.
That's why now you can't even trust those things. Like go to
when they have those little like election videos when they start coming out, they're like, Governor such and such hates kids. And I'm like, he hates kids? What? And then they'll be like, he voted. And then I'll be like, oh. But then the other guy that's against him, they'll come and be like, he killed a cow with his bare hands. And I'll be like, what? And like, by the time the commercial's over, your emotions are all stirred up over something that you don't even really know is true or not. Now, I'm going to ask you guys another question. Gen Z, does it matter whether somebody's a Democratic or Republican to you? Nah.
No, I feel like it's more their core values and how they like defend that, you know?
Yeah, and also I also think that sorry first.
No, it's a podcast.
Sorry. And I also think that there is like we kind of like thinking about there is only one, there is the other that's kind of like coming back to the definition of tribalism that you said. It's kind of like we need to be more open to having more options than use only one or the other. Be able to look more beyond those two things.
It's kind of like I was gonna say like they gotta change it because in Mexico used to be a PRI pan. Yeah. I don't know if you guys like Mexican politics was one or the other like, and then this new president that's there right now like he was like independent, but I've never seen an independent president ever here in the United States. No, they don't have a chance.
Yeah, they don't.
Like it's either you pick this guy or you pick that guy.
We need to open up that for people to pick who they really believe in and not be pigeonholed into two finalists that we don't even have a say in. It's a little message. Question. Israel. Yeah, I'm going there. Hot button topic. People are dividing over it. People are pissed off. People are mad. How many of the people that are really mad are really informed about what's going on, and how many are really just seeing on social media and getting pissed off? What do you think?
I think everybody's just social media and like
a lot of them social media.
Honestly, that's just my honest opinion.
Yeah, of course. Be honest. What do you guys think?
I feel like just because of like the whole usage of social media just being like so like in your face all the time, I feel like at that point like people that are like reposting things like that's good like stand up for what you believe for, but then some people would just be clicking buttons at that point, you know. And it's like to truly show that you actually care for something, or let's say you actually want to stand up for a cause, you can't just be like, oh, let me just put that on my story. Like, no, like you should be like more of an advocate for it, you know, to actually see a change.
Exactly.
You can't just use social media as like a lazy way, like sitting on your bed, like, oh, there you go. Like, no, you need to be active towards it. And people that are actually active towards it, although like those numbers are a lot smaller, those are the people that are actually making change.
Right. Yeah. I'm more concerned with human suffering than I am with any particular country. Because at the end of the day, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is not new. It's a 2,000-year-old conflict. They have been killing each other and fighting over that piece of land and terrorizing each other for years. And all of a sudden, it gets sensationalized in 2024. Now, am I saying what I agree with what Israel's doing over there? No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is you can't commit yourself to a cause and not commit yourself to the cause. You can't commit yourself to the cause on social media, but then not go back and do your homework and find out this is a 2,000-year-old conflict and there's been terrorists on both sides. Check this out. Last time somebody bombed America, Lord help me, I'm about to say it, was September 11th, 2001. And after that, we went into 2 countries and stayed in them for a decade. We bombed those countries for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days straight. We went into those countries, Afghanistan and Iraq, and took them completely over, only to later on bail out and leave them unstable, contributing to the same Middle East conflict that Israel and Iran is connected to. With that being said, is it hypocritical for America to act so angry when they see other people taking other countries and fighting when we do the same things?
They did it in Mexico. I didn't know about it until like I read a history book, and it was like the president at the time, like he brought troops in and like faked that some that supposedly like Mexican soldiers spilled like American or blood on their land, so he did the war. And they wanted to buy the land, but Mexico was like, nah. So he's like, I'll just take it then.
That will be like double. What's the word?
Double standards, no?
Double standards, kind of like
It is.
you take it for others, but when it's get to you, like that's deception. But I will know, like, how would you take it? Like, you know, that if you're doing something wrong, and you say it that's wrong when other people do it, how do you take it? How do you process? Like, how do you think it in yourself to be able to justify, to be able to do that same thing that you say that is wrong?
Exactly.
That's something that I would like to learn. Like no, why people think in that way. And yeah, I would say that
It's really deep.
yeah, it's really deep. But
gotta go to the White House.
how that happens?
We got a few questions.
Yeah,
It's similar to having kids, and that you guys don't have kids yet, correct?
No.
Good. When you do, you're gonna have a random kid and your kid, and they're gonna just have gotten a fight. Your inclination is to do what?
Support your kids.
Support your kid. But your duty as a human being is to do what?
Do the right thing.
Find out exactly what the hell's
what
going on.
happened?
Mm-hmm.
Because I see some parents and I'm like, you know your kid is bad as hell. But every time they get in trouble, it's the teacher's fault. Every time they get in a fight with another kid, it's the other kid's fault. Every time they get in trouble at practice, it's the coach's fault. That's not true. So if you take that small example of how bias makes us not even want to hear what really happened, is that happening here in America? Are we so biased from social media and the news before we even get in the room with somebody that we're already just jumping all over the opponent without even giving them a chance to speak?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree that bias.
That's for sure.
That's definitely just like discrimination too. Like, 'cause I bet you like there's just so many people, like not everyone is gonna be there to witness it firsthand, but then with social media like showing one thing, then it just makes the other side like seem like the bad guy. But then people, I guess, are not like open-minded enough to be like, okay, that's just one person. Why would we make it an everyone problem? You know what I mean? Just because someone did something doesn't mean that the other people that like have a commonality with them are also gonna do it or have done it too.
Bars.
Yeah.
You can't identify somebody as like a group. You have to go individually and be like, hey, how are you?
Exactly.
It's
Same
just-
thing.
And just like when you're like in a friend group, like people shouldn't be like, oh, that friend group, oh, like they're cool, yeah, like that friend group, oh, they're athletic. No, you should be like, there's this person in there, this person, she's different, he's different, but hey, we're all together.
NWA said in 1991, F the police. Tupac continued in that manner. Now here we are in 2024, and a lot of people just hate every last cop that has ever lived. Smart or ignorant, what do you think?
Oh, yeah, it's ignorant too.
As hell.
Like I've been arrested a few times, and I've met like the guy that arrested me. He was cool. Like he was just doing his job, you know. Like his mom.
What about all that?
No, like he. Like, honestly, no, the officer. Like, he wasn't like you know,
Right,
like
right,
they say,
right.
like
He
oh,
was
he's
fair,
dropping
yeah,
you. Like
he
he
was
was like,
fair.
hey, bro, like you know what you did. I got to do my job. Some people just forget that it's a job. Like that's not how they are. Like I was listening to a song like gang members and like cops. They kind of like there's different gang members too. There's some gang members that kill you for anything, but there's some that are actually cool. Like you'll talk to them. There's cops that are actually cool. It's just their lifestyle, how they are, things they've been through, family history. You don't know what they're going on at home. Cops got their own things going on. So I think it's really like that's the most ignorant thing to me. Like I actually met some pretty cool police officers. I've met some cool politicians. I've met, not everybody's bad. It's like
so beating ignorance is really key to that, huh?
Yeah, I think that you answered my question. Bias has to do a lot with that.
Bias.
Yeah.
And that's why I use the kid example, because then you can really feel that one. It's like your kid and he just got off the ground fighting with this other kid, but you find out that your kid started it. And you're like...
And you just turn like a blind eye. You're like, oh, it wasn't that
You
deep.
hit my kid, and your kid is the one that like stole his soda, drank it, and like put dirt in it. And then he slaps your kid, and they're wrestling, and you get up to him, and you're like, "Why'd you hit my kid?" He's like, there was this one time I remember where the kid told me what my kid had did, and it was like, they put dirt in my soda, and I just was like, "You did?" And yeah. Well, damn, I would have slapped you too. So the bias ends when information begins. That's a bar. Bias ends where information begins, and ignorance begins to die. As we wrap this thing up, 22nd, what did you get from this? What are you thinking going forward? And we'll wrap this thing up.
I think it's gonna make me aware, especially like continuing high school and like for like the rest of the time where I'm like socializing with everybody else, that you need to be careful when you just try to identify yourself as a group, and rather focus on yourself, make sure that you're straight so that you can actually like make a change and not just go into that like follower ideology. So you can actually, again, like I said, break off, become a leader and stand up for what you actually want to stand up for. And like that, you can make an efficient change rather than just going along with social media and what people tell you and like false support.
Like it. Could you repeat the question? Sorry.
Any takeaways? Any thoughts?
The takeaways?
Yeah, just whatever.
I would say that we were able to have a conversation here and be able to be open to one another and be able to learn about why we take some decisions around groups and tribe, like you said, tribalism. And I'll say that everything that we talk about it is gonna be like helping me, like when I'm go to one place, to be able to be aware of it, I'll be aware of bias and kind of be able to see that whole picture.
I'll go and pass it to you to wrap up, Vic. Both of our 2 episodes, what we came down to is people that are most susceptible to group mentality are people that do not have strong identities, do not know who they are, do not invest into who they are, do not make choices for themselves, all because of insecurity. I think we could sum it all up by saying not knowing who you are gets you into stuff you have no business being into, ignorance, misinformation, and make sure you do your research.
You guys got that? Come and follow us at Time for Change for some more game, and we're going to keep doing our thing.